kill the president.
Back off.
No comment.
No comment.
Shocking revelations have constantly trailed Thomas Matthew Crooks ever since his assassination attempt on Donald Trump. However, his parents just dropped an even more unimaginable bombshell about their son, and this time, the FBI may be at the center of a major controversy. Stick around, as this is one you don't want to miss. Trump shooters' parents reveal their son is an FBI employee. The assassination attempt on the former president and now Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump was perhaps one of the most shocking and historic moments in recent history. The former president had gone on stage to deliver a speech at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where he was almost shot to death in the full glare of the public and media.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
While he survived, and the shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, was immediately neutralized by counter-snipers on the site, the weight of the attempt has continued to drag on for weeks after. Just when you think you've heard the most shocking details following an investigation, something else pops up that makes you question everything you thought you knew. One such is the shooter's parents' shocking revelations that expose their son as an FBI employee. Things first started to look suspicious when Crooks's family refused to speak to the media following the death of their son and his assassination attempt on Trump.
We just want to try to take care of ourselves right now. So please, give us our space.
The speculations and theories grew even wilder when it was later revealed during investigations that his parents had called the police hours before the shooting to report him missing. Their action was heavily scrutinized by the public because Crooks had spent the night at the family's home, and on the day of his shooting, his father had even handed him the AR-style rifle he used in the attempt. So how was it possible that the same son they had seen just some hours ago was suddenly declared a missing person? Their actions revealed a much deeper secret and led people to theorize that their son was an FBI employee. While this claim seems pretty unreal, several circumstances make it plausible. First, let's talk about the 3 encrypted bank accounts in 3 foreign countries that were discovered to belong to the 20-year-old shooter.
In that briefing with the Secret Service and the FBI, members of Congress were told that Crooks had 3 encrypted accounts on overseas platforms.
Each of the 3 bank accounts contained a total of $1.5 million in cash. Although the countries have not been officially named, some report that they could be Switzerland, Singapore, and the Cayman Islands. Others allege that the countries were Germany, New Zealand, and Belgium. According to a report, $800,000 in the first account has been linked to a shell corporation. The second account holds $500,000, which could be from cryptocurrency transactions, and the third account contains $200,000, which may be connected to extremist groups. During his testimony following the assassination attempt, FBI Director Christopher Wray claimed the shooter seemed to have acted alone, but a 20-year-old with 3 overseas encrypted bank accounts screams the opposite. And yes, we all have the same questions on our minds. How does a 20-year-old kid described as a loner have 3 overseas bank accounts with millions of dollars in cash? Who could have sent him money from overseas? Let's not forget that investigations revealed the shooter also used encrypted messaging applications for communication, which further fuels the speculation that Crooks may not have acted alone.
One of the things we've learned in finally getting into his phone, which was also a significant technical challenge from an encryption perspective, but in addition, once we got on the phone, it turned out he was using some encrypted messaging application.
Christopher Wray stated that the agency is still trying to gain access to these encrypted messaging apps, yet reiterated that there was no evidence of co-conspirators in the assassination attempt. Again, the FBI director's words seem to have no weight, especially as it was reported that an unidentified person who frequently visited Thomas Crooks's home in Pennsylvania had visited a building near the FBI office in Washington, D.C. It is also important to note that Crooks's attempt to kill Donald Trump comes at the same time an Iranian plot to assassinate Trump was uncovered. Weeks leading to the shooting, the Secret Service had been notified about an Iranian plot to carry out an assassination attempt that could include former President Donald Trump. Despite knowing this, former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle testified that the agency turned down some requests for additional federal security assets for Trump's detail. It was turned down in the 2 years leading up to the attempt on July 13th. The agents attached to Trump on the day of the shooting also showed extreme unprofessionalism in dealing with the situation. The Secret Service was, in fact, warned about Thomas Matthew Crooks's presence at the rally ground and designated him as a threat 10 minutes before former President Donald Trump took the stage. The agency had also been warned that there was a character of suspicion on the grounds more than an hour before the shooting occurred. They were also charged with ensuring everyone passed a check before gaining entrance to the rally, but somehow Crooks, a 20-year-old kid, managed to stay one step ahead of an agency tasked with protecting the most powerful people in the world. The rooftop on which Crooks was perched when he committed the shooting was deemed a potential security risk in days leading to the rally, yet the Secret Service didn't properly sweep the building. Despite all of these red flags, the former president was allowed to go on stage anyway.
Who is most responsible for this happening?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
So the buck stops with you?
The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service. It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again.
Thomas Matthew Crooks was deemed a very intelligent student who had graduated high school with honors and even won a $500 STAR award from the National Math and Science Initiative. Still, no one expects a kid to outsmart two of the biggest security agencies in the USA unless he is either working with them or has connections with foreign intelligence. It is so bad that Crooks would have gotten so close to achieving his goal if not for a timely movement that caused Trump to move his head at the last minute. Even though the former president survived the attack, a life was lost at the rally and two other audience members were seriously injured.
Tragically, the shooter claimed the life of one of our fellow Americans, Corey. Comparator, unbelievable person, everybody tells me. He lost his life selflessly acting as a human shield to protect them from flying bullets.
Every of the Crooks' actions leading up to the shooting has raised serious questions about the FBI's internal processes, as well as their ability to handle and mitigate threats targeted at those they were tasked to protect and the country at large. So far, congressional hearings have been scheduled to investigate the actions and decisions of the FBI and Secret Service. Lawmakers are determined to uncover the truth and ensure such lapses do not occur in the future. Still, the question remains: could Crooks have truly been working for the FBI? Could they have been in together on a sinister plot to take down Trump? Could this connection of financial mysteries, security failures, and political drama linked to Iran be a mere coincidence or part of something far more shady than we can imagine? We have to wait and find out. The double life of Thomas Matthew Crooks. Loner, nice, reserved. Those were the words used to describe 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, the gunman who attempted to assassinate former President Donald Trump on July 13, 2024. He fired several shots into the rally grounds where Trump was giving a speech, injuring the former president and killing at least one spectator. This act, however, greatly contradicted the description his neighbors and friends provided about the shooter. His neighbors described him as friendly yet reserved, always ready with a smile but rarely engaging in deep conversation.
I've never had a conversation with him, no. But no, he seemed like a really pretty nice kid, honestly. But no, I never, and he was friendly enough.
His family was said to be deeply private and rarely conversed with other homeowners in the upper middle-class neighborhood where they lived. His friends from high school also characterized Crooks as a very intelligent and quiet student with a passion for computers.
Well, from what I do know is he was a very intelligent kid, and he was really did well. He really did well in school and had some kind of passion for computers.
However, they admitted he was often bullied for his quiet demeanor and body odor and for wearing camouflage hunting outfits and surgical masks to school.
I mean, he would sit alone at lunch. I mean, he was just an outcast, and you know how kids are nowadays, so they're gonna see someone like that and they're gonna target him because they think it's funny or whatever.
Even the school district described him as a quiet, bright young man who generally got along with his teachers and classmates. Outside of school and his neighborhood, Crooks also belonged to a local shooting club and had even attempted to join his high school's rifle team, but he failed the tryout because of his poor aim.
He didn't make it onto the rifle team. From what I've heard, he was just not a good shot.
After he graduated from high school, he worked as a dietary aide in a local nursing home where he was said to perform his job without concern. Essentially, Crooks was a harmless, nice guy with no criminal record. But was Crooks ever truly the nice and lonely guy he was described as? To understand the double life Thomas Crooks lived, it is important to take a look at his activities leading up to the assassination attempt on Trump. Before the shooting, Crooks's internet search results showed the shooter had searched for images and public appearances of Trump, President Joe Biden, Attorney General Merrick Garland, FBI Director Christopher A. Wray, and Catherine, Princess of Wales. He also searched for information regarding the Democratic National Convention and the venue for Trump's rally held in Butler, which was near Bethel Park, where Crooks lived in Pennsylvania. At the same time, he researched the Oxford High School shooting, as well as information on major depressive disorder. On July 6th, Crooks registered for the rally and then searched how far was Oswald from Kennedy, about former President John F. Kennedy, and the gunman who assassinated him. He also made searches for power plants and the attempted assassination of Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico. His activities didn't end online, though. Crooks used several aliases and encrypted messaging platforms to purchase firearm supplies and bomb-making materials. On July 12, 2024, Crooks went to the shooting range where he was a member to practice firing. Once he was done, he purchased over 50 rounds of ammunition and a ladder. On July 13th, the day of the shooting, he successfully requested the day off from work because he had something to do, promising his co-workers he would return the next day.
He went to his employer at the nursing home where he works as a dietary specialist before this and said, "I need Saturday off. I have something important to do," but he told his co-workers, "I'll see you on Sunday."
He then requested an AR-style rifle from his father, who handed it over because he assumed it was needed for his shooting practice. Hours before the assassination attempt, Crooks's parents then called the police to report him as missing and expressed concern about his well-being. He was seen pacing around just beyond the boundaries of the rally grounds at about 5:06 p.m. Some witnesses reported him as a suspicious person, especially as he made his way to a nearby building and started climbing up air conditioner units until he was able to get on the roof of an adjacent building.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
While on top of the roof, Crooks positioned his weapon with rallygoers spotting him and alerting law enforcement agents at the scene. A local law enforcement counter-sniper had spotted Crooks and immediately text messaged his colleagues about Crooks. And at 5:14 p.m., another counter-sniper saw Crooks and took a photograph, which he then sent to other members of law enforcement before heading outside to find him and keep visual contact while backup arrived.
We had a text group between the local snipers that were on scene. I had sent those pictures out to that group and advised them of what I noticed and what I'd seen.
Knowing he had been spotted, Crooks ran from his position and evaded a search by 4 other local police officers. It was at this point the Secret Service was informed of a person who posed a potential threat. However, the Secret Service, specially trained to deal with situations like these, did nothing, and when it was 6:03 p.m., Trump was allowed on stage to speak to the crowd.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened.
A few minutes into Trump's speech, at approximately 6:11 p.m., Crooks fired 8 shots into the rally, striking Trump in his upper right ear and 3 rally-goers, one of which was fatal. 2 shots were fired by law enforcement towards Crooks. The first shot, fired by a member of Butler County's Emergency Services Unit 6 seconds after Crooks fired his first shot, caused Crooks to recoil away and pause the shooting. However, he repositioned himself but was killed before he could resume firing by a shot from a Secret Service counter-sniper, fired 16 seconds after Crooks's first shot. With Crooks's death, the true reason behind the assassination attempt may never be known. However, there's no denying he left several digital and even physical evidence to prove a sinister motive. Yet, the FBI has somehow been unable to determine a motive behind the shooter's attack on Trump. Once again, we are left with one question: could this lack of motive be linked to his association with the FBI? Ultimately, the truth surrounding Thomas Crooks and why he did what he did is forever lost. However, one thing is certain: he was never the nice, lonely boy he was portrayed as. All was a well-orchestrated illusion that masked just how dangerous he was. The pile of controversy theories left by Trump's shooter, Trump's assassination attempt, and the mysteries surrounding the case have, without a doubt, made it one of the most controversial in recent history. Every single detail that has been released ever since investigations began leads to even more questions and barely any answer. One of the controversial theories trailing this case is that the shooting was ordered by President Joe Biden. Representative representative for Georgia's 10th congressional district, Mike Collins, posted from his personal X account that Joe Biden sent the orders. He pointed to a quote from the president in which Mr. Biden said that he was done talking about the debate and it's time to put Trump in a bullseye, a quote that was taken out of context. However, social media users ran off with Collins's assertion, claiming the attack was a deep state assassination attempt. Many posters even shared messages alleging that a proposed Democratic bill to strip Secret Service protection from convicted felons, which would have included Trump, was evidence that the assassination was planned by Democrats. Jacqueline Marsaw, a member of Democratic Representative Benny Thompson's staff, had posted on Facebook saying, "I don't condone violence, but please get you some shooting lessons so you don't miss next time. Oops, that wasn't me saying that." Stephen Woodrow, a Democratic member of the Colorado House of Representatives, also posted on X in response to the assassination attempt with his tweet saying, "The last thing America needed was sympathy for the devil, but here we are." His post was widely criticized, including by the Colorado Democratic Party, and he eventually deleted his account about 3 hours after his post. Afterward, he told the Washington Examiner that he condemned the shooting on the strongest terms, but these fueled the claims that Democrats wanted this to happen. President Biden has since come out to debunk this and condemn the attack on Trump.
An assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for as a nation. Everything. It's not who we are as a nation. It's not America. And we cannot allow this to happen.
Aside from these, there were also claims that the Secret Service intentionally allowed the shooting to happen.
We're pointing at them. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, "Hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle." And the police are like, "Huh, what?" You know, like they didn't know what was going on.
In fact, an anonymous user on the forum 4chan claimed to be a Secret Service counter-sniper and wrote that he was given orders by the head of the Secret Service not to shoot at the would-be assassin. The claim, with no evidence, then circulated to more mainstream forums. It didn't help that videos taken at the rally purportedly show the female agents were incompetent, or the fact that the Secret Service testified that they denied Trump's requests for additional security. These acts, to many, somehow justify the baseless theory that the Secret Service is part of a conspiracy to get rid of the former president.
The Secret Service had turned down some requests. I'm asking how many?
A denial of a request does not equal a vulnerability.
It also fuels the claims level against the FBI and the Department of Justice, insinuating that they have been overridden by dangerous elites and can no longer be trusted. On the other hand, some believe the assassination attempt was staged to benefit Trump politically. Several pictures taken after the shooting showed a bleeding Trump pausing to chant and pump his fist in the air, causing many to believe it was all staged. Users also pointed out that the Secret Service agents were suspiciously slow, as opposed to the urgency with which Trump was rushed off the stage at a campaign rally in November 2016. Others believe that Thomas Matthew Crooks wasn't the actual shooter. Instead, they claim the shooter was a Pittsburgh man who previously pled guilty to charges after an altercation with police in an anti-Trump protest. Let's also not forget the Iranian assassination plot that was reported weeks before the shooting. It's no news that Iran has Trump on their revenge list after he ordered the 2020 airstrike killing of Qasem Soleimani.
Soleimani was plotting imminent and sinister attacks on American diplomats and military personnel, but we caught him in the act and terminated him. Under my leadership.
Just recently, a Pakistani man who allegedly has ties to Iran has been charged with a plot to carry out political assassinations on US soil, including potentially of former President Donald Trump. The man, identified as Asif Merchant, was said to have traveled to New York in June to meet with men he thought he was recruited to carry out the killings, even paying a $5,000 advance to 2 would-be assassins who were undercover law enforcement officers. However, he was arrested in July as he prepared to leave the United States after having told the men that he would provide further instructions, including the names of the intended targets, in August or September after he returned to Pakistan. Although US officials have acknowledged that the arrest of Merchant has no connection with the July 13th attack on Trump, this latest revelation has further increased the swirl of controversial theories surrounding the case. There's also the controversy trailing how the 20-year-old shooter had 3 encrypted overseas bank accounts with about $1.5 million in cash, or who he was committing with via encrypted messaging apps. It is also worth noting that Thomas was a registered Republican, which made his attack on Trump rather bizarre. He was also said to have donated $15 to the Progressive Turnout Project, a liberal voter turnout group, through the Democratic Party donation platform Act Blue, an act, like every other detail associated with the case, that was deemed further confusing. So where does this leave us? The truth is, we might never know the full story. The pile of mysteries and controversial theories left by the Trump shooter is vast and complex. Each new piece of information seems to raise more questions than it answers. Whether the case will ever be truly solved or not, it's better to keep having more questions than settling for easy answers. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. For more fascinating videos like this, click on the cards showing on your screens, and I'll be waiting.